Umntwana engibhekane lawo unzima kakhulu ngoba ngihlala ngicabanga ngitsho kusho ngizibuza ukuthi umntwana nami ngizambona.
The burden that I'm facing is just too much for me. I'm always thinking whether I will see my child again before I die. This pains and makes me think a lot. Sometimes I find myself losing sleep, and then I start thinking, it's really painful.
Ngiyacabanga kakhulu. Ngiyacabanga kakhulu. Bafethu ke ngicabanga. Hayi ubuhlungu kakhulu sibili.
I think a lot. It's been 5 years, and I've been thinking. It's so painful. Even when I try to occupy myself, I can't escape this torture. The most painful part is that I last saw my child when he was very young. It's surprising. We never knew someone can be stolen and traded for a profit. We never knew this.
It remains one of the unsolved mysteries for Zimbabwe. The disappearance of a minor from his grandparents' homestead in Kai, in Zimbabwe's Matabeleland North Province, almost 6 years ago.
The torture that relatives and victims of human trafficking are exposed to has been laid bare, with a 32-year-old woman from Inyati in Matabeleland North Province struggling to reunite with her son, who was forcibly taken to Kenya in 2016 at the tender age of 4.
When his story started to make headwinds on both local and international media, we traced the incident to Nkai, gathering as much information on the boy's disappearance. But there's one question that continued to pop up in our investigation. What happened to the boy since the point his suspected traffickers were arrested at Namanga border post in Kenya? We followed this to Kenya to find out the intimate details of this connection, the only probable link that would help us understand the whereabouts of Awakhiwe. Namanga border post, the land border linking Tanzania into Kenya, a distance of 2,622 kilometers from Harare. From Zimbabwe, one has to go through Zambia, then into Tanzania, and finally get to Namanga border post. The only other route will be to use the Mozambican route, closer to the sea, which would cover more days before getting to Namanga border post. This is the border point where the suspected traffickers Margaret Juma Magero and her husband David Ochieng Ometho were arrested for trafficking 3 minors, among them the young Zimbabwean boy Awakhiwe from Kai. Magero and Ometho would later be tried for this offense at the Shanzu Court in Mombasa, which is 500 kilometers from where they were arrested. A court verdict made from the Shanzu Court is reported to have assigned the 3 trafficked minors under the care of Happy Life Children's Home in Nairobi. 2 of these minors are said to have been reunited with their families, while there is no evidence the 3rd child was ever reunited with his family or transferred to another orphanage. This is where the mystery starts, as we found out from the Zimbabwean investigating officer who followed up the case since it broke out in 2016. According to the Happy Life Children's Home, there was never any documentation of a child under their custody to match Awakhiwe.
We followed it up with the said orphanage, and we made inquiries through the phone, of which they denied to ever have met this boy or adopted a boy from Zimbabwe. So it went silent in 2016. 6 years down the line, it resurfaced through social media again. And now, it also surfaced it was also reported in the media in Zimbabwe. So we're forced to take it now more seriously. Then that's when I was tasked by the ambassador to go and visit the orphanage physically. I went there, I think on the 15th of January. I met the matron and I narrated my story, of which, again, they denied ever adopting Hakim from Zimbabwe. And I was taken through the process of adoption in Kenya, of which I was told Happy Life Children's Home is in Nairobi County. And Hakim is allegedly came through Kenya via Namanga border post, which is another county from Nairobi. So they said there was no way Hakim could have been brought to Happy Life Children's Home. So for now, what we have done as an embassy is to write a note verbal through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because we are not allowed to talk to any other government department other than Foreign Affairs.
And then there are even more startling revelations made by the orphanage, according to the investigating officer. The records at Happy Life Children's Home do not really correspond with the age group that Hakim is supposed to have. The final details on that?
The children that are at Happy Life, it's only 0 to 3. And after 0 to 3, they will transfer to the sister orphanage, which is in Juja, Happy Life Juja. That takes from 4 up to 8, 12 years. But according to their transfer records, there was no transfer that transpired from 2016 to 2022. Unless otherwise, there is another orphanage, which we are still exploring, with a similar name to Happy Life.
The case is now delicate, involving the Foreign Affairs Ministry in Kenya. So we seek audience with Happy Life Children's Home through the Zimbabwean Embassy. The orphanage declines the interview, referring all questions to offices that are said to be now seized with the matter.
Because of how the government of, how the people of Zimbabwe would say were really on my case, to stop talking about the issue. If anybody calls me regarding the issue, I refer them to the authorities.
So in this case, the authorities, the DCI and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Yeah, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Directorate of Children's Services in Mayo House.
Directorate of
Children's Services, they also are dealing with the case.
Could there be a mistake on the name of the orphanage where Awakhiwe is said to have been taken? We search for all registered orphanages in Nairobi, hoping there will be a chance there is another one which may be closer to what we are searching for. Out of this long list, it appears there is only one that starts with Happy, and this is Happy Life Children's Home. We set out to see the orphanage in Roysambu, which is some 30 kilometers out of Nairobi city center. Though set in a high-density suburb, the orphanage has maintained its privacy, cast between a building that offers it a quietness from the hustle of its surroundings.
The story of Awakhiwe is one that has generated a lot of interest. We tried to seek the answers here in Nairobi, Kenya, going as far as the supposed children's home that he is supposed to be. Now, this is not exactly the place, Happy Life Children's Home, where Awakhiwe is supposed to be. Unfortunately, he is nowhere to be found, leaving us with more questions as to exactly where the boy Awakhiwe may be. He could be anywhere here in Nairobi.
As if by fate, our attention is drawn to a newspaper headline in the People's Daily, published on the 31st of March 2022. 2 people had been arrested in connection with the kidnapping and killing of a toddler. Our source tells us cases like these are common, run by powerful syndicates.
Let me tell you, this country has it has even cartels. If you try and talk ill about them or you touch something they are doing, they just kill you and nothing will happen. We had such cases here where people are like operating children's home in the name of they are helping, but you find they are selling those kids. We have had, it was even aired in Citizen News in a local TV station. You find most people, they are like putting up a children's home, pretending that they are helping them, but they are selling kids. Yeah?
All right.
Yeah, we have had such cases. And now the government had to come in and now to put stronger rules. If you want to operate a children's home, you must do this and this and this. And you must also have someone from the government who is monitoring your daily operations. Yeah, it's a big syndicate because it was a coalition between the nurses in the hospital, doctors. Like you give birth to a kid, your wife gives to a kid, and you are told the kid was born when already dead.
Okay.
But they take a kid who has already died, they take your kid who is alive, they sell that kid to another person. Especially when they see like you are not capable of fighting for your justice. Yes, a week.
A week?
Yes, I'm talking of a week, not a month.
These are bodies of kids?
No, like kids were 5, adults were many.
Could there be a link between Awakhiwe's suspected traffickers and these cartels? The mystery deepens when we try to join the dots between where the traffickers were arrested and the orphanage which was assigned Awakhiwe.
One of the first details is that Kenya itself has more than 40-something tribes. Now, for somebody at Namanga border post to be able to identify from a first instance that this child is either Zimbabwean or South African, which is what they wrote, we found that a little bit intriguing and a lot of interest. Because if I were to hear any other Kenyan language, it would be very difficult for me to decipher which language it is. So from then on, we then looked at it and we said, well, look, let us follow up and hear what is going on. Again, when we take the next stage, this person is arrested in Namanga. Between Namanga and Nairobi is 120 kilometers, but the court case is heard and happens in Mombasa. Mombasa to Nairobi is 400 and something kilometers. Why would somebody arrested in Namanga not go to Kajiado Law Court, which is 40 kilometers from Namanga border post? Again, when we follow the court proceeding as from the report, the court proceeding then says the judge, after giving a determination that the child was indeed abducted, they then instructed that the child be taken to Nairobi. Now we are again going to say from Namanga to Mombasa. From Mombasa, they say the child must be kept in Nairobi.
Although there is a difference between coincidence and causality, these loopholes generate a lot of conspiracy theories.
We remain worried and also very puzzled as to why there are so many gaps in the story. And if indeed there was such a story, what has happened to the child? We still need to get a closure. We still need to get to find out exactly what went on.
These revelations fueled rather than allayed the enigma surrounding Awakhiwe's abduction. We retraced the case to 2016 when it was tried at the court in Shanzu to find out if indeed the case was handled there. Our source confirms the case involving the 2 suspects was indeed held at the court.
I talked to that magistrate.
Okay.
But then she said, yes, she handled it, she convicted them, and that's all. She didn't follow up on anything. So she advised me to go to Shanzu, the court where they were charged. Huh?
All right.
To go to Shanzu and then try to ask. But then the problem is that we still don't have the case number. Without the case number, it becomes hard. But we can still try with the names because we have the names.
Yeah, sure. Day and night, this investigation worked to unravel the mystery behind Awakhiwe's whereabouts. but every corner appeared to be a dead end.
We've tried everything and we appear to be hitting a brick wall, as no one seems to understand where exactly the boy could be. We are left with more questions than answers. And the enigma surrounding the boy's disappearance continues to grow each minute and every hour that we are here in Kenya.
Child trafficking is a huge problem in Kenya, which is also used as a transit point for human trafficking. Trace Kenya is one organization that has worked to counter human trafficking. We probe the complexity of these cartels that are responsible for the disappearance of hundreds of children both within and without Kenya's borders.
Kenya is a transit point. It's also a source point for children trafficking, and it's also a destination. And the case you just mentioned, where a child came all the way and came through the Namanga border point, ordinarily our border points are only manned in very specific places. You know, in this case, with the border with Tanzania, for example, there are only 4 border points, which you can. You know, one is Lunga Lunga, the other one is Taveta, then Namanga, and you go a little up north, you have a place called Isibania. Now, and consider this is almost 300 kilometers of unmanned border point. So the children from all over the place use Kenya, partly because it's a pretty liberal country. You know, coming in and out is not a very big deal, particularly if you are African. It's not a very big deal. If you're non-African and you pose as a tourist, it's probably a great destination for tourism. So these tourists, traffickers have taken advantage of this, and therefore make our you know, any person coming into Kenya and will unlikely get molested by the police or anyone, unless you know you commit some other crime, or unless it was reported that you are on the run. So that's probably what could have happened.
Could it be that Awakhiwe was a victim of circumstances? For all we know, the orphanage that he was presumed to be denies ever admitting a foreign national during that period. With all this evidence, we again sought clarity with the Zimbabwean embassy in Kenya.
We said, let's write to Foreign Affairs here in Kenya, asking them to assist us, and also we wanted them to give us authority to go and visit the orphanage. So that is official, and you know, and also we gave them the names of the perpetrators, and we wanted them to tell us if how we can get in touch with that to help our investigations. So they verbally they reached the embassy, and they told us that they had referred the issue to child welfare here, and they had also sent to IOM and also the Home Affairs. We are still waiting for an answer from them, but they acknowledged our note verbal. We are here, it's priority, and we'll keep on following up until we know what really has happened. But there seems to be you know, some loopholes somewhere where we don't really know.
Back home, Awakhiwe's family sits on the edge, hoping that someone will come with the good news that Awakhiwe has been found and will be reuniting with them. As it turns out, this is probably something his grandfather will never hear in his lifetime. For now, Awakhiwe can be anywhere in Nairobi, his issue now being followed up through the Department of Criminal Investigation and the Directorate of National Child Services. Magero and Ometho remain the critical pieces of this jigsaw, yet they too appear to have disappeared from the radar. What then could have happened to the boy Awakhiwe? This is the biggest question on everyone's minds.